Don't you hate it when that happens? Now you could get frustrated, quit the game, and never play again, or waste all of your potions, revives, and max revives trying to boost your Pokemon back up just so they can be defeated again. Or you can watch my video and win every time.
Oh
now,
yeah!
when it comes to battling grunts, leaders, or Giovanni, there are some very important tips that are going to help you win. Some of them include knowing what types you're facing against and how to know what types you're facing against. Some of them also include quick switching, which you may or may not know about. I'll get into that in a little bit. And some other things include leveling up your Pokemon, because ultimately, if you notice, when you're facing Arlo's Salamence, he is CP 14,000 plus, and your 1,500 Palmy probably isn't going to do the trick. Quick switching. What is it? How do I do it? Where do I find it? Is it good for me? Can I make money off of it? Where did it go? I need my quick. All right, so quick switching is a pretty simple technique used right at the beginning or mid-match. Usually I like to use my quick switch right at the beginning of a leader or Giovanni battle, because I always know what their first Pokemon is going to be. So I always switch into my second Pokemon, which is super effective against their first Pokemon, immediately. Why? Well, if you notice, anytime that you switch out a Pokemon, anytime you use a charged attack, anytime your opponent uses a charged attack, or anytime you or your opponent's Pokemon is defeated and they bring out, or you bring out a new one, they will be just ever so slightly stunned, for lack of a better term. You will be able to get like 2 to 3 fast moves off before they ever start attacking you again. How do you use this to your advantage? Well, it's pretty simple. If you're getting extra attacks off, you're raising your charged attack meter so where you can use that again. Use your charged attack, get a charged attack off, watch them get stunned again.
Reduce.
Repeat, recycle the process. It's pretty simple. After you had switched your Pokemon out, that minute countdown before you can switch to a new Pokemon again resets. So whenever you switch to a new Pokemon, you can't switch out to the other Pokemon for another minute. You're going to be able to switch back to a more effective Pokemon later in the battle if need be. Now, battling grunts, in my opinion, is the easiest thing to do in this game when it comes to battling. They will always tell you what Pokemon you will be facing as you're going to face them. Honestly, I would say there's one trainer, one grunt in the game that gives me the most trouble, and that's because of the inconsistency of Pokemon that I see when battling against them. Sorry, Team Rocket grunts say things like, normal does not mean weak, or this buff physique is not for show, or these waters are treacherous. That is an obvious indicator as to what Pokemon you're going to be facing. These waters are treacherous, you're facing water Pokemon. Normal does not mean weak, normal Pokemon. Okay, but there is a certain type of grunt that will say something like, winning is for winners. Get ready to be defeated, winning is for winners. That grunt, or the elite grunt as we call them. So that elite grunt, the guy will always have one of the three, currently in this season, will have one of the 3 Hoenn starters. So Mudkip, Trico, or Torchic. And then their second and third Pokemon will be the evolutions of those Pokemon. But the lady will always start with a Snorlax, and you will always get the Snorlax when you beat them. You'll try to catch the Snorlax after. However, their second and third Pokemon could wildly vary. You could have anything from a Poliwrath to a Gardevoir, a Dragonite, or a Gengar, a Salamence. There are a load of different types of Pokemon you may see against that girl elite trainer, girl elite grunt. But other than that, grunts are pretty easy. You shouldn't have trouble with this. Trust me. Moving on to the different leaders. Now, each season, the Sierra, Arlo, and Cliff of Pokemon Go will have a different Pokemon it starts with. Currently in this season, Cliff has Machop, Arlo has Cacnea, and Sierra has...
Downloading.
Trapinch. So right away, you already know exactly what Pokemon they're going to be starting with. So my technique is to bring in whatever Pokemon I think will be good against their second and third Pokemon. To know what that is, we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'll always bring out what I think is going to be good against their second or third Pokemon first, and then immediately quick switch into something that I know is going to be super effective against their current type. If it's Cliff, I'll switch into a Mewtwo and have my Mewtwo go to town against his fighting type Machop. If it's Sierra and you're starting with a Trapinch, I'll switch into a grass or water or ice type immediately, and then they'll be stunned. They'll more than likely be defeated before you can even get a charged attack off. Once it gets into that second Pokemon, that's when I start unloading all of my charged attacks, melting through their shields, and then usually a full minute has passed so I can switch into a Pokemon that's more effective against their second and third Pokemon. Now, the second and third Pokemon that you may see from one of these Team Rocket leaders are going to be a lot different. Sometimes Sierra has a Salamence in the back. Sometimes Arlo has a Salamence right in the middle. Sometimes Cliff has Tyranitar right at the end. You never really know exactly what they're going to be bringing out for their second and third Pokemon, so it's good to be prepared. You can always go to sites like LeakDuck or check out other content creators like Pokedaxy. They always have really good helpful hints as to what to expect from Team Rocket leaders. But for the most part, if you use that quick switching technique and you try to use as many charged attacks as you can, you're going to eventually wear them down and defeat them. Personally, I actually find Giovanni to be kind of easy to beat. Now, before, when I first started playing this game, I could not beat this guy to save my life.
This guy
I brought in any Pokemon I possibly could to try and beat his Persian, and yes, he always starts with a Persian, and I couldn't beat it. The Persian would kill my first two Pokemon before I could even get a charged attack off. That was before I knew about quick switching. That was before I knew about the effectiveness of types and about leveling up your Pokemon, because it makes a huge difference. Now, when it comes to Giovanni, like I had mentioned, he's always starting with Persian, and that is a normal type. So to utilize your quick switching technique, you don't want to start with your fighting type Pokemon. You might want to bring that in as your second Pokemon. So you'll start with whatever you think is going to be good against their last Pokemon, immediately switch into like a Lucario or Keldeo, and then boop, switch into that Pokemon, wipe away that Persian, and it's pretty tanky, don't get me wrong, it can take a hit. So you're going to take a second or two on that Persian, and then it's going to go to his second Pokemon. Now, his second Pokemon is going to be the one Pokemon you're not going to be entirely sure of what it is. And that's why your third Pokemon that you bring in should be one of your strongest possible Pokemon, or one that can get quick attacks off really fast. Giovanni's last Pokemon will always be whatever the new season of Super Rocket Radars is bringing. For instance, this most recent one was Shadow Groudon, so I knew going in with a water or grass or ice Pokemon at the tail end was going to wipe away his Groudon. Was my Groudon any good? No, but that's okay. Shadow Pokemon are the strongest attackers in the game, and you're going to want to get some good ones so that way you too can battle more Team Rockets or raid better in the future. Thank you for listening to my tips. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Or don't. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here for helpful hints. Now go play Pokemon.